there is a whole other side to this book that nobody's really spoken about too much because it's typically hidden, and I think it's actually far more sinister and damaging to our kids. And that is that it is laced with the language of neo-Marxist identity politics. One of the ways in which social activists change society is by changing the language and casually embedding assumptions into the narratives, using phrases and words that all of a sudden pop out of nowhere. So that stuff that was once unusual or an exception to the rule is now treated as an assumed truth or reality or norm. For example, homosexuality is something many people in society view as perfectly normal. Gay people exist, same-sex attraction is real, and we should in no way be discriminating against gay people. Same with trans people. But these things are not the norm in the statistical sense. Let me be very clear, I'm talking statistically. So if you were writing a book for teenagers about gay and trans people, you might say some people are gay or trans, or even a minority of people may experience same-sex attraction or gender dysphoria. It's not wrong or an illness, but it's also not something most people experience or have to deal with. So if you don't have those feelings, don't worry about it. But this book has been accused of grooming kids. Now, I'm not sure I'd go that far in my criticism of it, but I would go so far as to say that this book heavily promotes modern left-wing gender ideology in its language and in the amount of attention and space that it allocates to LGBTQ sex issues versus heterosexual issues. It doesn't refer to men and women, but to penis owners and vagina owners. It talks about boy-girl sex as if it's just one option of many for everyone, and girl-girl and boy-boy sex as if there's nothing particularly remarkable about that. And it talks about quite unusual sex acts as if they're everyday things that everyone is doing, which could make a young person feel uncomfortable for having quite natural aversions to the idea of putting certain body parts in or around certain other body parts, not really designed for such activity. I mean, if an adult chooses to do that, fine. But for a young person trying to understand what sex is at a very young age, what is normal, am I normal, is there something wrong with me if I don't like that stuff, I don't want to do that. Sure, the book pays lip service to virginity and abstinence and sex being connected to intimacy and love and not having to do things that you don't want to do, with little quotes from kids about that. But those quotes are really outnumbered by the dozens of quotes that enthusiastically promote a very different transactional and mechanical view of sex. Now, if you agree with me, I've got bad news for you. Once again, we do not seem to be in the mainstream. We share this country with people who think very, very differently to us, and we somehow have to all get along. One argument in favour of the book I agree with a little bit, although it's not much of an argument, is that with the ready availability of graphic and quite perverse pornography at the click of a switch for kids these days, that a book like this, dealing with all this stuff, is a necessary evil. Perhaps. But the place we're all falling down then, as adults in our society and the right parenting of our kids, is the appropriate policing of pornography. We should fix that problem so we don't need a book like this and we can protect the innocence of our young. Because right now, I think we're failing them.